Hate Us number 4.
And this one is pure, like, this is truly hate.
Yeah, this was really bad. Do you have a theme song for this?
It's just, I can't. Like, it's so awful. I guess if I had to pick a theme song, that's what I was gonna say. Something, the mister who gets between me and my sister, and God help the sister gets between me and my man. Okay.
So
you think I'd have it memorized after hearing it, I don't know, 50 times in the movie?
It was really bad. And it was all really close together. It was within 10 minutes of each other. They played the same song 3 times.
I get that. Well, okay. First of all, is that their only song?
Yes.
Can you really tour with one song?
Wait, before we start, yelling about.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we need to say what this movie is.
This movie is White Christmas.
1954, Bing Crosby, which I didn't know this was a hairstyle. I thought frosted tips came in, in the 90s. Bing Crosby had a frosted poof, and I was amazed.
He did have quite the poof. I don't know why, but for some reason I really thought that I was going to like this movie. Cause I like Bing Crosby, right? Yeah. And the other guy, Danny Kaye. I like him too. He's been in a couple other things. So I thought, okay, hey. And then I was so wrong. I think, and this is bold.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather watch Steel Magnolias.
Yes. I would rather watch any of the other 3 Hate Us movies we've watched already than this one.
I'd rather watch all of them. I'd have to watch this one more time.
This movie starts off during World War II. And which I thought is ironic because, these episodes won't come out for a few months, but right before we watched this, we just did episodes on Chicago and, Full Metal Jacket. And we were talking about, what's good about musicals? What's good about war movies? And then we watched this and it does everything that's bad about it. The music wasn't catchy, and
I couldn't get into the music at all.
This was back in the time when people went to the movies to see a showcase, right? It wasn't about the story. It was about the showcase,
dancing, acting, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to watch
Broadway.
I was gonna say America's Got Talent or something like that. Like. They're like, oh wow, look at their dancing. Oh wow, they sing so good. Like, the story is only there to service that. And that's a terrible way to make a movie. I'm glad they figured out not to do that anymore. But, hang on.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. One of the things that we were talking about was the importance of, telling an honest story and kind of, war, no matter which war it was, it's always violent, always gritty, always just, scary, evil, dangerous, but here in this movie, they try to polish it with this wholesome vibe where all the, soldiers are getting together to sing a Christmas musical. And I was just like, there's no way that they wouldn't be cursing at each other and making jokes and heckling from the crowd. They wouldn't be sat there politely and just listen. You know what I mean? Like, there's this, it was just so inauthentic.
Do you think this movie back then, cause this is 54, so this is roughly 10 years after World War II ended, so it's still really fresh. Do you think, this was offensive to vets? And they're, trying to make, super light of what they went through? Or do you think they saw that as a welcome distraction? Or I don't know. I don't know any World War II vets.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know. It's hard to say because all media was this way.
Because I feel like if you did the same thing with the Vietnam War, there would be outrage almost.
Well, that's kind of part of the issue, right? You go from this polished, nice look at war, and It's not a war movie. Like we should.
No,
make
it's not
that
a war
clear.
movie.
It's like 5 minutes
It just,
at the end of their time in war. They're having a musical, but
yes.
you have this representation of soldiers. Then you have the Vietnam War happen, and you're showing actual soldiers, an actual, actual war, and it's like, oh wow, World War II was so nice compared to the Vietnam War. These guys are monsters. Right. Like the representation is just awful.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something we were talking about in the last one. I don't know if it'll be the last one, but
it definitely
basically
won't be the last one, but
how the different wars were portrayed just kind of based on the media, I guess, and how World War II wasn't as it didn't come off as dark or as gritty as Vietnam, the same way World War I almost comes off as like an afterthought because there's not a lot of media attention to it, even though it was super brutal. So maybe with this being just kind of the way movies were, then it was just accepted.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, I mean, I have no idea. This is just an assumption, but like I would assume that because all the movies and media and stuff were very much of this tone, that it wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't like offensive.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe not offensive was the right word. Just maybe it made other people think, well, World War II didn't look that bad. What is the issue with, like, why aren't all these guys coming home and singing songs?
Yeah, why is Dad waking up screaming, sweating in the middle of the night for no reason when the war was like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, so they're in war. They have the musical. A bomb goes off. Everyone runs and hides. Bing Crosby is standing there talking to another guy, and a wall starts falling over. The guy
that was a little ridiculous.
The guy picks him up,
picks him up,
and runs away with them. And then so they meet up again because he saved his life. But then it wasn't. So that wall comes down, but he moves him over, and then it seemed like another wall fell down on top of him anyways? I think so, but they were under the truck at that time.
Were they under the truck? Because I remember all this stuff fell down. They're like, I'm good. Yeah. We got helmets on. You know what? I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check. But I'm pretty sure that Bing Crosby served in World War II, I want to say.
Oh, did he? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to look. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Well, let me get to this point real quick.
Let's do
it. He saves them. He saves Bing Crosby, meets up with them in the infirmary, and he's like, hey, I have this thing I want to show you. I think it'd be really good in your act. Shows him a song that he wrote, and Bing Crosby's like, oh no, so Bing Crosby was already a famous singer who got drafted for the war in the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I'm a solo act. I don't do duets. And he's like, oh no, I thought, if you had a second person, you would do really good, like just have another banger singer. I don't remember what word he used exactly, but it was something along those lines. He's like, well, who is explosive? Who would be another explosive, entertainer? And he's like, I don't know, me? And then they just do this montage of, they're super famous, like instantly. Like it fades to black from war, and they're already the biggest act in America. Like there's the weirdest thing about this movie is it's paced so strangely because
the pacing is really weird.
It jumps so much time. But it feels like it takes forever to watch the movie.
Oh, it does. It really does. It's so hard to even say. So the other guy in this movie, his name is Danny Kaye. I don't remember what his name was in the movie. He is also a actor / singer, and he did this one movie that we had as a kid called Hans Christian Andersen. And it was like a great movie. At least I thought it was. I don't know if I watched it now, I would agree. But it had like really catchy songs and really everything. So going into this, I really thought I was going to like it. I thought he was going to be able to like take me through this, and he failed me.
Oh,
he failed me so bad.
He was really annoying.
Yeah, he bothered me so badly.
And so the plot, it doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
I couldn't even tell you 100% what this movie is truly about. If it even has a real plot.
So, Bing Crosby wants to go and see this new duet act, which is two sisters.
Yeah.
Because their friend sent him a letter. And so, from the war, his army buddy sent him a letter, hey, can you come see my sisters, give them some advice, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Bing Crosby's like, sure, let's do that. The other guy is reluctant, but he gets dragged along. They see the sisters. The other guy decides he doesn't even like the one girl at first. He decides, oh, Bing Crosby will like her, and I'll get him to get married. That way he's not such a workaholic, and I can have some time to myself.
And it backfired.
But it was so stupid. And the only thing I could think of the whole time was, this came out in the 50s. This storyline, if it was told now about in the 50s, these guys would be gay, right? Like they would have been secretly gay and trying to hide it. And you know what I mean? Like, and it's not like a judgment on them, but it was like the guy did not want to get married. He had no interest in dating. He had no interest in women. And it was like, at that time, if you were gay, you just got married to hide it. You got married to hide it. You just were
I didn't even think about that, but it totally makes sense. That would be the story.
That's what, if I remade it, that would be the story it was. That Bing Crosby was gay. And potentially the other guy. Cause they seem like they were in love with each other quite a bit.
They, definitely. Absolutely. So I think I was a little confused. Turns out that it was one of the sisters wrote the letter, right? And the brother was like off in France or Italy or something like that. Alaska. There you go.
Almost France.
Pretty much France. So she's the reason that, the dudes came out to look at them. And I'm still bothered by the fact that they have one song.
Yes.
They have one song and they don't do anything in a time where, like we were saying, where you're singing and dancing and performing. They really don't do much. They sing and they're just kind of static.
Yeah. At this point, the one girl does tap dance quite a bit.
So that song is ever so bothersome. And what bothered me the most is like, okay, I get that that's their song. Okay. Yeah. And the movie's got to portray them doing the song, but you don't got to do the whole song every time the story calls for that song to be performed.
Well, so they do the song, then the sheriff shows up to get money because they burnt a rug at the hostel or hotel or wherever guest house they're staying at. But they didn't want to pay it. And so they were trying to run away. So Bing Crosby and the other guy go and perform the song. So you literally,
this plays into your theory of them being gay.
Yeah. You literally listen to the entire song, which is probably about 2 minutes. I don't know. It's not like a full 5-minute song or anything like that.
It's too long for the story.
And it's not creative. It's just sister. Like that's all they do.
Something, me and my sister.
Yeah. And, Bing Crosby and the other guy come out and do it again.
They're all
within 5 minutes. Like, it's awful. It was mind blowing to me. And the big joke of it really was, awful. Look at these two guys kind of dressed up as women singing about and it wasn't even them singing. It was a background track.
They lip sync. It was a big, controversy.
It was Milli and Vanilli.
Yeah.
But everyone was cracking up laughing
it was the funniest thing.
It was the funniest thing ever. And they kept hitting each other with their, what do you call
fans
those things? Yeah, the giant feather fans. It was awful. But so they get on a train and they go up to Vermont, and in Vermont, they perform the song again. So you have is hardly any time at all on the train. They get to Vermont and now they're performing the song again. I was like, are you kidding me? And
It's awful.
It's really bad. And the whole thing is a musical. It's them singing on stage, but 2 times out of nowhere, they start singing outside of being on stage, which made no sense at all to me. I was like, why would you do that? Why not sing, just leave it all on stage. If your show is if the movie is about being on stage,
then every song can be on stage. Like, we don't need the side stuff. It's not Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
But
where the songs have to be everywhere.
Do you remember the song they sing on the train?
Nope. I think I fell asleep.
This was snow, 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 snow.
Oh, that's right, because they were talking about there being snow. Yeah.
That was...
Yeah, they all sing snow.
Oh, it's so bad.
That's about the time where I said, this is the worst day of my life. I cannot believe I'm watching this. And I started zoning out.
Yeah, I did too. I zoned out right at the end. I still have no idea what the gift the one girl gave to Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby is the only person I know by name. I don't remember any of the characters' names. I don't remember.
Neither do I.
I guess Vera Ellen was the other girl.
Maybe.
That she was the skinny one. And the entire time I saw her, I was like, man, she is anorexic. Like, you look at her, she is so sickly small. And I was just like uncomfortable. And so then I looked it up, and apparently that was a big problem in her life, was anorexia.
Oh, jeez.
And no one knew about it for years until her movie career died down. Yeah. It was like a big secret. And I was like, man, people were dumb back in the 50s if that was a big secret, because she looked awful. Like, not like awful, like, ugly, but like awful, like, wow, that's
like
so
sickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so sad that she would do that to herself.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that bad.
It was really bad. Like there was one scene where she was, tap dancing, and her legs were so small compared to like the size of her head. I was like, oh my goodness, you're not supposed to, like, that's not how your body is supposed to work. Like, how do you even stand up? She seems like she would just fall over.
She should be falling over. Yeah.
And you know those, kid, punching bags that have the sand in the bottom? That's what I feel like her life would be.
They fall and just kind of slowly rise back up.
Except
you can't keep her down.
Her feet would go up. Her head would stay on the ground. Her feet would bounce to the top.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was upsetting to me.
But
the whole...
This is when they get to the ski lodge?
Yeah, so this took half the movie to get to this point. And now the movie's ready to start.
Ugh. And that's about the same time I was ready for it to end.
But they get to the ski lodge, they find their old general, who is now the owner of the ski lodge in Vermont.
I like how they almost rip on him, because they call him a janitor?
Yeah. He's like, you're a janitor now?
Janitor here? He's like,
He said, even worse, I own this place.
I own the place. Yeah.
But, so they decide, because there hadn't been any snow, so no one's going up there to ski.
Yeah, so they're kind of just, they don't have a lot of business.
Yeah. So they decide, well, let's put on a show, but they're going to put on a secret show. They're not going to let them know. They're like, oh, we're going to spend some time down here to prepare cause it's off season on Broadway or whatever. We're going to train and practice up here and, test out on the people around town to see what they think of the show.
Really confused about the thought process behind the whole perform at the ski lodge thing.
Well, the idea was we'll put on a big giant show and it will bring people and raise awareness about this ski lodge, which makes sense.
Because you won't need the snow. People will come to see the show.
Yeah. It makes sense. That's a good plan. The secretness of it and all the drama
what I
that
mean.
came from it
Yeah.
made zero sense.
And I tried to compare it to like a situation that would happen in real life or like in modern times, and I couldn't, because this is like out in the middle of nowhere. If I don't even know who performs, if Lady Gaga started doing shows at like a ski lodge, I feel like it wouldn't like be that big of a deal. Like maybe the first couple shows and then like, oh sorry, I'm not going all the way out there for that. I don't know. It didn't seem to translate for me.
But it's the time too. I think that's the other thing you have to remember, is it being back in the 50s.
Yeah, of course.
That, they didn't have big acts like they do now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it would have been a big deal in the 50s if, these guys who,
Like big enough to like fly out or drive out, like, and spend your vacation down there, you think?
yeah,
If you're not close.
yeah, because it was a special new produced, like I don't know if it was going to be a one-off or what, but I definitely think it would have worked. I think the plan was solid. I think people, based on the type of entertainment they would have had back then, I think there would have been a lot of people who would have been interested if they were as famous as the movie was putting forth that they were.
Right, and I think, well, I could agree with that if there was also snow, because that's a long ways to go for like a show, and then there'd be nothing else to do. But if there's the snow, then it's like, well, we can go, we can ski, and also there's a show, we can do multiple things, we're gonna be there for multiple days. But without the snow, I just find it hard to believe.
Yeah.
You're going way out of your way to see an hour, maybe 2 hour show, and then what? Then you're stuck at this place, and tomorrow, if you say, I guess you can go see the same show again.
Well, you know people go on vacation in the summertime too, right? Like, vacation doesn't require snow.
No, but this place being as how it's out in the middle of, nowhere, because it's a ski lodge, there's nothing else to do.
But people camp, people go out to the middle of nowhere for a vacation. Like, I don't think it's that crazy.
I think it's a stretch.
I think your frustration is a stretch.
I'm not frustrated. I just don't buy it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it all turns out that it ends up snowing.
Yeah.
The night of the performance. So everyone Bing Crosby's like, good, maybe everyone will get snowed in. And that, to me, so no one knew that all these people were coming to the ski lodge. So
right.
They expected, they hadn't had any guests at all up until this point. So why would they have enough food to feed however many, like 500 people?
There was quite a bit of space.
However long they were snowed in for. Like
those classic like 2 hour snow-ins.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's the 50s.
It is the 50s. The snow.
It's the way we did snow-ins back then.
Global warming was different.
Yeah, it was different.
Anything else about this movie? Oh, like I was saying, I don't know what gift, Bing Crosby's girlfriend gave him to make it back up to him. I was too busy looking up if Vera Allen was anorexic at that point.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Because by this point, I was so just ready for it to be over. It got unbearable to watch. It got, like to the point where if a song would come on, I'd just like close my eyes and hope I just died.
It was really
Please
bad.
just let me die.
And
let me die here.
The dancing wasn't that impressive to me, at least. Maybe it was very impressive back then, but like now it was like, okay, I get it. Like that's enough. You don't have to keep going.
Yeah. It wasn't good.
No. What is something that you would compare this to?
So it's, okay. Everyone ends up going to these like Christmas, musicals for their kids, right? Like a school program. Now imagine if you didn't have kids and you were forced to go to one of these, but then all the kids were just elderly people that you had no relation to, no desire to see, and then it was like a 2-hour long performance of them singing songs. That's what I would compare this to.
So it's almost like watching this movie.
It's
Like,
exactly.
it's just going to see this movie. You going to see the stage play of this movie.
That's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Awful.
I would say watching this movie is a lot like, stubbing your toe really hard and then you split the toenail. And
Oh,
then
yes.
you put on your socks and
I'd rather do that.
the stringy thing gets caught on the split toenail. And you're like,
Hold on.
you-
I believe the correct medical term is the stringy thing.
the string on the sock. You have a string.
Oh, I think you meant the stringy thing on your foot. I was really confused, but I didn't want you to feel like a freak. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I got stringy things too.
No, on your sock. Gets caught on the split
Weirdo.
toenail. And so you're
Oh,
like, you
yeah.
got it halfway on, and so it's not necessarily the pain of all that. It's the emotional, what do I do now that I'm in this moment? Do I take the sock off? Do I just go through, do I just pull it on and hope it doesn't rip my toenail? Like, that moment of trying to decide.
It's a real dilemma.
Yeah. That emotional turmoil
awful.
is what watching this movie is.
It's awful. I hated it so much.
It
I'd
was
rather watch
really
Steel
bad.
Magnolias. I'd
Okay.
rather watch a musical of Steel Magnolias.
Well, that would probably be better. That the stage play is supposed to be really good. That's why they made the movie.
Is it a stage play? I
Yeah,
don't remember
that's why it was filmed so weird, because they filmed it like a stage play.
That's right.
That's why there's so much exposition.
Ugh.
But, so this is number 4. This is Hate Us number 4. What is your list of, let's say, what did you like the best first to the worst?
So it would go Throw Mama from the Train, Silkwood, Steel Magnolias, and White Christmas.
I think Silkwood is the most interesting.
Oh, you think so?
The movie's not good. It's not fun to watch.
It's close. I will say it is a close second for me, but the fact that Throw Mama from the Train had Danny DeVito, it made it bearable. It's only saving grace pretty much was Danny DeVito.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say Silkwood is the best because it's a true story. The story's interesting. And now that I can just think about the movie, I don't have to watch the movie, and I know the story, like that to me is compelling, right?
Silkwood had the best act for sure.
Yes.
I will get that.
Yeah. And then it's a toss up between the next two, Steel Magnolias and Throw Mama from the Train. They were both really disappointing in different ways. I might have to give it to Steel Magnolias over Throw Mama from the Train. I really did not like Throw Mama from the Train. And then Throw Mama from the Train third, and this is definitely the worst one.
Yeah, I will say that I was not disappointed with Steel Magnolias because I had no expectations. I knew it would be bad, and then it was bad. I did think Throw Mama from the Train would be funnier, so in that way it is more disappointing.
Well, because there was no reason for Throw Mama from the Train to be as bad as it was. You had great actors.
Yeah, it was low
Right.
effort.
The story had a decent premise, and it just was not. It just felt very rushed, very, I don't know, amateur, I guess. I don't like judging the filmmaking because I'm not a filmmaker, so I don't feel necessarily like I have the most credit.
Right.
But like as a viewer, as someone who's watching their movie, like it just felt like a big letdown. Like, man, you guys had a lot of potential and you wasted most of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that was Hate Us number 4. White Christmas.
Do we already know what the next one is?
Well, not yet. I haven't heard. But I was hoping
She'll forget.
I could get your version of Bing Crosby's White Christmas that the movie opened to let us out.
I will not. I don't know. You say, I don't know if I've heard another version that's not Bing Crosby's.
Yeah, well, I mean the movie.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. That's all. That's all I'm doing.